Suso, tira Alessio, Suso, tira, perché non tiriamo? Ma perché non tiriamo? Goal! Alessio Romagnoli, goal!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher, wearing a baseball cap because it's bad hair day, but you know, also goes with the theme and that. Joined by Anthony Talbreed.
Yeah, what's up? Also got a baseball hat on, just because I'm balding and it's easier to put a hat on. You can find me on Twitter at Storget45. You also got Madison back with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here this week. I had no idea that we started because my connection froze again. But you guys can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Madison_DT.
Yeah, Madison is most definitely not balding, but he should be after a shambolic performance today in the Milan Club Montreal FIFA tournament. I don't know if you want to talk about it, mate. Really? You were beaten, what were you beat? 8-3 on aggregate?
It was 8-3 on aggregate. The guy that I played, Hashir, I believe his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys. I'm moving and I'm turning on lights.
This is great.
Runs a FIFA club in India. So I was expecting to lose by double digits. Only lost by 5 goals. Not terrible.
Second game, you were much better.
Second game, I played much better. First game, he could have beat me easily 12-3 or 12-1. But he decided to dribble the ball into the net 5 times instead of shooting the ball. So SempreMilan is out in the round of 32. Hopefully next time we have a better showing and they do Xbox so we can talk about how bad AJ is instead of myself.
Yeah, I'm no better, so I'm glad I didn't have to represent there. It's on someone else's.
But like I've been practicing for the past week and a half, and I thought I had gotten good, and I clearly have not.
Ooh, were you practicing on the wrong game or something? I mean, geez.
No, last night I lost 5 games.
I mean, I can't say anything because I'm not great at FIFA.
Out of 6. The one game I won, I lost because they got disconnected.
Wow. Yeah. It takes longer than a week to get good at something, apparently.
Yeah, dude, I used to be ranked in the top 1,000 in the world in FIFA.
I don't believe that one bit.
I don't believe that.
In 2011, man, 10 years ago.
I bet
10 years ago,
1,000 people played it back then.
When I used to smoke weed in my parents' basement and go to community college.
And now you just live in your parents' basement.
Funny, coming from the guy who lives at home.
Yeah, it's like that's your parents' kitchen.
Yeah, it's all right though. This set up. Yeah. Well, we got the roasting out of the way, but on a serious note, fair play to Milan Club Montreal for putting it on. Clearly took a lot of planning and stuff, and it's good to see so many different accounts promoting it on social media. Just a bit of fun, to pass the time during lockdown without football. And good luck to Milan Club India and to Hashir for the rest of the tournament, I guess. It'd be nice to go on and say that you lost to the winner. I reckon he might go on and win, especially if he takes it seriously. So, yeah. That's it. How's life treating you, boys?
Do you not have topics or anything?
I do have topics, but, I like to have a little bit of a mini counselling session before we...
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need any counselling on my end. We're good.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
well,
I think we lost Madison again.
Yeah, we've lost Maddie again. Unless he is just staring vacantly at us.
Well, he just vanished, and now he's back in. So
this is good.
The tiles have rotated.
You guys, I don't know what's going on with my internet, but what were you guys a counseling session or something?
Yeah, I'm just asking AJ how he is, and he don't want to talk about it. So
yeah, we're good. No worries.
We'll move on then. We'll move on.
Yeah.
So, every week, I guess we tend to discuss stories that are in the newspaper, but this time we've got a fair few stories to talk about that have been given to us by our very own resident expert on all things to do with the transfer window and goings on at the club, Vito. As always, if you haven't, then go on and check it out on our website. You just hover across to the news tab and click exclusive. You can find all the stuff that Vito gives us there. We are, as always, incredibly grateful for what he gives to us, and seems to be a very credible source of news among the Milan community. So we're delighted to have him as part of our team. So we got a couple of updates on a number of different things. So first of all, we'll start with the less interesting stuff. Belia and Bonaventura definitely leaving. Belia, I think we can all basically agree, whatever, we're going to save a lot of money in salary. He never, ever hit the heights that were expected. It'll go down as a wasted investment of about 40 million when you factor in his contract and the fee that we paid for him. Obviously struggled with injuries, but really just never got going. And I think he'll probably go back to Argentina or something. Not much else to say on him, really. Bonaventura, on the other hand, seems to have about 5 or 6 different teams after him. Now, in Vito's report, he says that Atalanta are the ones who, seem to be trying the most seriously, and that's understandable. He joined us from Atalanta 6 years ago. But the fact that Atalanta in a Champions League place, Napoli, Roma, Torino, Fiorentina, I think I might be missing one as well. All these teams that are sort of aiming for like Europa League level, they all want to sign him. Should we be worried about that?
No.
I know you don't really like Jack, but
it's not that I dislike him. I just don't think he's good.
I love him.
So, yeah. Would you consider extending him then?
I would, yeah, for sure. He's depth.
I
really don't see what we're.
The only issue for me is I don't know how he's like the form he has. I mean, he's back. He's back from injury, but we didn't see much of him before the stop happened. So I don't know if he is back to the level he was, if he's worse, if he's improved. We really don't know. There's a lot of question marks, like everything that we've talked about over the past few weeks. But I mean, that's the biggest one for me. Before, I always said no renewal until he comes back and we see a few weeks worth of performance, so we know what kind of level he's at, because there's no reason to give a guy a pay raise and an extension if he's going to get worse after this injury. So it really depends on his A, fitness levels, and B, his playing ability, if it's changed at all. And obviously the coaching staff's going to know that better than us. So whatever they want to do, I trust them. But as of right now, in my personal opinion, I think we let him walk.
I think it's a difficult one it's always a difficult one, because when someone's been with you through all the rubbish times for over half a decade, is a self-confessed fan of the club and all that kind of stuff, there is a bit of sentimentality that creeps into a decision like this, especially when you look at it, what he's contributed to us over the 6 years. You would say that he's probably earned another renewal, but we're obviously heading in a different direction. And if we're going to let go of someone like Jack, then it proves that we're fully invested in going in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of understand it and I respect it in that sense. It does worry me that there are teams that are around us at the moment. Perhaps not Napoli. That doesn't surprise me, because obviously Gattuso knows him and liked him. But those teams want him. They see the opportunity for a free transfer on what could become sort of a 2-year contract for like €3 million or something. I mean, to have that as depth, you could argue that it's worth it, because he can play as an attacking midfielder or as a winger, so he covers positions in that sense. But it also comes down to the player. I don't think he's going to accept staying here and knowing that he won't be starting if everybody's fit. So perhaps a move to new pastures or back to Atalanta would be good for him. I just would like him to get a send-off at some point. I think that would be good. If the season resumes and it's behind closed doors, then unfortunately that's just the way that it is. But it'll be sad. But yeah, we got to move on. And it is important then that we replace that depth option. We can't possibly go into next season with like 5 midfield options. It will be important that he does get replaced. But that's that. I guess that's just the way that football is sometimes.
Tonelli might sign Tonelli.
See, I see him as kind of a different thing, though, because Tonali will play deeper, whereas Bonaventura was never considered to play alongside Benacer.
Yeah, but it's still depth. Sell Cassier and replace him with someone else.
Yeah, understandable. It's like the way that I see Bonaventura at the moment is that he's probably above Paqueta in the pecking order. And unfortunately, we're not probably going to be able to shift Paqueta unless a team comes along and puts on an offer that at least tempts us, or maybe Benfica will offer a swap, whatever it might be. But it's like, who's the backup to Rebic at the moment? I don't really know. I'd probably rather sell Çalhanoğlu and keep Bonaventura as a bit of depth at attacking midfield. So yeah, I don't know. Just prioritising, isn't it? What we want really.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting one. The midfield is not an easy fix. I've realised how much of a mess it is because we've got so many players that are in that grey area. Like I don't like Çalhanoğlu being that far forward because I don't think he's good enough in the killer phases of the game. There's players like Rade Krunic who are just in the grey area as well. Like, is he going to be a holding midfielder? Are we going to play him further up? Talks about Benacer moving to a box-to-box role. Kessié, we don't really know what to do with him. It's like the midfield is going to need a complete rebuild this summer. And I just think that, for depth, keep a guy there that you know what you're getting from in Bonaventura. But that's just my opinion. I think it was an easy option to extend a bit of depth. But the management are going with something else, then it means that they're going to be using that money to go towards a new, perhaps younger, fresher signing. So we'll see. So Ibrahimovic, funnily enough, Vito got this first, and then today it's all come out. Reports sort of along a similar theme. He's not going to retire, and he wants to play at the top level for another year. There's no signals regarding a renewal, but Ibrahimovic has requested and has got a meeting with the club, which will obviously take place when everybody returns. He's currently still in Sweden training with Hammarby, which is the team that he owns 25% of. So you can stay fit before an official return to training at Milanella. Things just
Playing
started.
musical chairs here, boys.
Looks
Yeah, it's
like
too
it
fucking
is.
hot in my room, so I gotta change it up.
Dude, it's hot in your room and it is snowing outside here.
What?
That's wild. Ugh. All right.
Is that better, mate? Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better. Kitchen party.
I'm calling this amateur edition, this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we're just all over the place. I might just move and sit outside or something to make it a full house. So Ibrahimovic, everything over the last week has sort of suggested that it's not as straightforward and he might not leave. Something came out from Gazzetta dello Sport today saying that he wants to play for us for another season and that it all depends on the management, but his wish would be to play his last season as a professional footballer for us and to get us back into the Champions League. What do we think?
Keep it.
Why would he get us into the Champions League and then retire and not play in the Champions League?
That's a fair point, but
Sentimental.
I think it's more the idea of he's done his job. He's going out on a high, and if he does it, then who knows? We might just give him another year and say he can be a player coach.
I would love for him to stay because we have no replacement who is going to do what he does.
He is not going. He's 38, and yes, he's in exceptional physical shape for a 38-year-old, especially someone of his physique and his stature. But he's not going to carry on like that, I'm afraid.
No, he's not.
I think he'll be 39 before the year is out and early on into next season. I think it's going to be very difficult to get even 70 minutes a game out of him. So if he stays around, then it might be that we still have to sign another number 9, in my opinion, sign another striker, and have Ibrahimovic either mentor them or we play him in Europa League games and we play him in cup games, let's say. And he comes on if we need a goal at the end of games. It's just whether Zlatan would accept that.
Why would we be in Europa League next season? Is it going off the previous season's results?
No,
the
I mean,
going to come back if we qualify.
If we finish the season behind closed doors, then qualify for the Europa League.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see why you'd want to get rid of Zlatan. I mean, I could see him, like you said, doing his job, securing Champions League, and retiring without playing it, because that was why we brought him in. Was, hey, let's take it back to the next level. Let's get us back to where we were. He's not dumb. He knows he's not winning the Champions League, not with this team, and he might just kind of concede and accept that's like the trophy that's going to elude him for his career. So I think just qualifying back into it is achievement enough for him and for us, especially at this point in his career. I don't see why he wouldn't want to go for that. And I think that would be the perfect sending off if he could get us. It would be symbolic, I mean, his departure was the beginning of our downfall, and then his second departure could be the beginning of our new rise. I think that's great. That's a great story.
That's very true. Yeah, I like it. There's something like a poetic narrative about all that. And I guess another thing is that Ibrahimovic, whatever you think of him as a bloke, he's not going to want to retire in front of an empty stadium behind closed doors. That's not him. You know, there have been reports that he wants a Beckham-style send-off where he gets clapped off the field. I think he's earned it. He's had a remarkable, illustrious career. He's won everything but that elusive Champions League trophy, basically. So, yeah, I think it's... I think he'll stay for another year now. I really do. I think Gazidis, by the sounds of it, has warmed around to the idea that actually he's as much of a commercial and a brand asset as anything else, and his experience and his mentality brings so much to the training field that it is like having a coach alongside, you know, all the other players on the training ground. You hear them all saying that he's a ruthless
It was pretty
guy.
amazing to watch the difference in the mentality of the team when he arrived compared to before that. It was like night and day difference. It was watching a team that cared compared to like one or two players who cared.
Well, one of the things that sticks out to me is, you know, this whole youth aspect that we're going for and that we've been doing. All these kids that are coming up that are going to be playing for us, kids like Liao, Rebic, I guess he's a little bit older, but still in the same age group. But Benacer, I don't know, all the other kids, you guys know. They all grew up with Zlatan as one of like the top 5 icons of their childhood. To come play side by side with them, to be friends, you know, like that's an opportunity of a lifetime for them that they've dreamt about since they were 5, 6, 7 years old. So that alone is going to give them that extra push. Even if Zlatan's not performing, I mean, we've seen his performances decrease in the few games that we got to see out of him, but we got to see Rebic play next to him, and his performances go through the roof. We got to see it from Castillejo.
Had someone to aim at.
Exactly. We saw all kinds of other players step up because they wanted to be told, yo, that was nice from Zlatan, their hero, their idol.
Except for Suso. Suso arguably got worse.
Yeah.
He only had a couple of games, didn't he, really?
Still got worse.
I believe he got benched for the Cagliari game, didn't he? And that was when Zlatan scored and Leao scored. But yeah, I'd keep him around. I think as much for Leao. If we're determined not to sell him, Leao keeps coming out in the media and saying, like, Zlatan's my big brother, you know, he teaches me so much. We never know, like, the next time that Leao gets a consistent shot, he might just explode. I keep saying he was overhyped from the start. I'm not saying he's not going to turn into anything, but he scored 1 goal and all of a sudden he was the next George Weah or whatever. But we don't know. Like, he might have had a bigger impact on those types of players than we can even potentially give him credit for if he wasn't to stay around. So I'm all for keeping him for another
I feel like
year.
Leao is a little immature.
Yeah, I'm not going to question his character, really, but...
I don't know. He just doesn't seem like a serious kid, you know, like Patrick Cutrone was.
I get that. I think, how old is Leao? 20, 21?
20.
Yeah, he's 20. I mean, Maddie, like 3 years ago, you were partying and you were still much older than 20. Like, he's a 20-year-old millionaire. He's having the time of his life. Like,
you are a professional athlete. You're held to different circumstances than 25-year-old Madison who just graduated college.
I don't know if you are.
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I just think that the mentality at Milan at the time when he arrived was very much that of like a party, whatever. Like, we're millionaires. Let's have fun. Let's fly to Ibiza and just party it up, you know?
They were going to say that also.
So I think, I don't know. Plus, when you're that age, you could get away with doing that stuff and still perform at your peak levels. Obviously, it's not the best thing to do, and we see that with guys like Dani Alves who partied their whole career. Now they're not too hot.
I think Leao needs to reach his peak level before he can, quote unquote, be a partying millionaire like Ronaldinho was.
What,
or
so
Dani
7
Alves
years?
was.
He's got to wait 7 years potentially.
You got to earn it, man. You can't, you know.
What I will say is some of the best footballers of all time have not exactly been known for stringently sticking to guidelines off the field, like Maradona, Paul Gascoigne. You know, if they've got a bit of creative brilliance, then they tend to have a spark of madness in them as well. That's just the way that it goes. But with Leao, I'm willing to give him another chance, especially if Ranić comes in, because he knows how to condition not only the bodies, but also the minds of young players and get them to fully buy into something. So I'd definitely be willing to give him a go.
I want Leao to stay. I just, feel like his headspace is.
Same with Paqueta maybe as well. I think there's a similar story there, and perhaps there's a certain irony that they're both like Brazilian speaking. But yeah.
Do we know what Leao's wage is?
Let me find out quickly. Talk among yourselves.
From what I saw, 1.5 million euros. Does that sound right?
I've got the Gazzetta dello Sport.
So
full
much
list.
money.
That's what I'm saying. You know how much money it would take for me to just say, screw it, and just party up and have the time of my life? One of his weekly checks, one of them. It would not take me much. So, I mean, I can't.
Let alone he...
3 million he earns.
He earns 3 million.
Yeah. 3 million. Oh, no. 1.4. 1.4. It's Rebic who's earned 3 million. I misread it. 1.4, yeah.
Yeah, that's plenty good for me to waste
Have you seen
my youth years.
He apparently owes, as it stands, Sporting Lisbon 16.5 million euros for terminating his contract early.
Yep. But that's going to court because they gave their players an option to leave, and he exercised that option after fans stormed the training facility.
I remember that, yeah.
It's because of age and also the fact that he was then sold on for a bigger fee that Sporting have kicked off saying, we're owed some of that. We never got anything in the first place. Interestingly, Lille have been told that they're not part of all of this, which for me, they were the ones who were the middle ground in everything. So they should have
you can't hold a player responsible for that.
He is personally liable for paying 16.5 million euros as it stands. And I don't think that at this stage in his career, he'll have anything close to that in the bank.
Probably at any point in his career he won't, but I don't think
and then
that's...
Jorge Mendes has been drawn in, his agent, to try and fix everything. It's been officially appealed.
I don't think that'll get upheld.
His head. You know, that is something that's in his head. It's like Paqueta, they're saying he's homesick, doesn't have friends, etc. I have a hard time believing that. He seems happy and stuff off the field, but if you're told you've got to pay someone who is really angry at you nearly 17 million euros, that'll be in your head. Like,
arguably one of the biggest
17 times
clubs.
more than your yearly salary.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, the way he's looking at it, that's his entire career that he owes right there in cash.
So I could understand if that's been playing in his mind a little bit. So I'm saying let's hang fire with Leao. Anyway, moving on. So carrying on with the Vito update, Musacchio and Kea will be monitored, and it's not likely that they both stay. So, I mean, the obvious one for me is sell Musacchio and exercise the right to buy Kea for 2.5 million euros. Seems like a good bit of depth experience at a cheap price. And
I agree.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
And then this is the interesting bit, in my opinion, the most interesting bit from both reports is that we've got a couple of centre-backs lined up. Now, I know a bit about one and not that much about the other. The first one's Christopher Ayer from Celtic, and the second one is Boubacar Kamara from Marseille. Apparently, they're both valued at 20 million, which I guess if we're looking at a long-term partner for Romagnoli is a drop in the ocean, really. And we'll come on to Romagnoli as well because there's some interesting news on that front. Ayer I know more about because obviously Celtic games are broadcast quite a lot over here. He looks like exactly the kind of player that I've been crying out to put next to Romagnoli for some time, like an absolute physical warrior of a defender, very good in the air, also surprisingly good with the ball at his feet. Wary, though, that he plays in the SPL.
I was going to say, he's a physical player in the Scottish Premier League.
Which is,
but so is Virgil van Dijk, and look at him now.
I don't think he's anywhere really close to that level. But interestingly, Van Dijk obviously got the move down to Southampton, and that's where he really excelled. Like it could be something like that, where he comes to us and we're like, wow, this guy actually was just not given a chance to show what he could really do in Scotland. But he's been impressive in the Europa League as well. They beat Lazio home and away in the Europa League group stages. So. There must be something in that, keeping Ciro Immobile quiet over 2 games. If he played both games, I don't actually know. And as for Boubacar Kamara, just know that he's a little bit younger. Similar though, like a commanding physical presence, but doesn't look quite the physical solid unit that Ayer is. But I know he's meant to be very highly rated, and there's been some top clubs linked with him. I mean, I still think if we have even half a chance, then I would go in for Upamecano. But I think that's going to be really difficult now, given the teams that are apparently in for him. But yeah, what do you think? Are you taking either of them two?
Sure.
Sure.
I don't know.
Whatever, take
I mean,
both.
yeah,
40 mil.
I don't know either of them, to be honest. I know
Yeah.
nothing about them, so I can't say yes or no.
Throw a name out there. Who would you like to see us sign?
God, I'm so rusty on the sport right now. I literally could think of like 3 players.
John Anthony Brooks.
John Anthony Brooks. Let's go with it.
No idea who that is.
USA.
Honestly,
USA. He's not bad, but he wouldn't be a good
no.
fit.
No, I've heard he's
Well,
good.
he's also very injury prone, and if he he got injured flying from Germany to the United States.
Flying from?
Yeah, like on
Flying,
the plane.
yeah. He
What,
got
with the Luftwaffe?
some kind of muscle injury.
Yeah, he like cramped up on the plane or something and like couldn't stretch it out and tore his
Did he
muscle.
get
No,
that?
I'm being serious. I think that's how it went down.
Yeah, and he
Like
missed
deep vein
the Gold Cup,
thrombosis.
which what?
It's like deep vein thrombosis or something, isn't it? You get on a plane. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
that's
was-
a funny one.
But he's the kind of player that we need. So whoever's like him, sign him
So
up.
I keep throwing this name out there, and probably people hear it and laugh. But I don't think we go wrong with someone like Lovren. I know he gets his criticism for certain things, and obviously he's not currently up to the calibre of centre-back that Liverpool have on their books. But that style of defender, again, absolute unit, someone who's going to be in for every aerial challenge, to let Romagnoli do what his strengths are, and that is basically all in the mind, the anticipation, the awareness, the last-ditch tackling, all that kind of stuff. He's sort of more of a finesse defender, good with the ball at his feet. Needs someone, I think you'll agree, like the best that we saw of Romagnoli was probably in the worst teams that we've had when he was next to Alex at first and Paletta. Both of those were not particularly great centre-backs, but they were very good at what they were good at, and that was just getting out to the ball and like I say, letting Romagnoli do what he's good at. So yeah, moving on.
What about the players that we have on the books, like Duarte?
Stack him.
Fire him.
Yeah. Get rid
Selling,
of him.
probably selling.
Nope. Terminate the
Sack.
contract.
Gabia is an interesting one. I just don't think he's ready for a consistent.
He's done
start.
well, but we don't have the sample size to like you said, say consistently.
Give him a go by all means, and I think he will get opportunities because that's what's happened this season with injuries, etc. It'd be nice to have. I've thought about it. I think we need to sign a new starter basically. So we'd have Romagnoli, new player. Then we'd have Kea and Gabia as depth options, and they can play together in cups. And then we'd have Leo Duarte as well, who we know can also play as a right back. So yeah, we need a bit of depth at defence. So I think that's easier to address than the midfield at the moment, though. But anyway, Romagnoli. Big news from Vito is that he will definitely renew with us. His current contract expires in 2022. It would be extended to 2024. He gets a pay rise from 3.5 million to 4.5 million. Big news because one, club captain renews when there's apparent interest from Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. That's a big sign, regardless of what you think about his consistency. The second is that fuck the salary cap.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'm overjoyed with that. The only thing I feel bad about is Romagnoli. I mean, he deserves better than what we've been able to give him. So, I mean, if he were to leave, I wouldn't have been like,
yeah.
I would understand. But
I
he
bet
definitely deserves the money.
since he's staying, and I don't know if we're going to touch on this in a minute, I feel like if he stays, Donnarumma stays. If Romagnoli leaves, Donnarumma leaves.
Wow,
can see
a
that.
double exit would be absolutely crippling for us because that would leave us with
But
two.
like if Romagnoli leaves, Donnarumma's like, well, this project is fucked. I'm out of
Yeah.
here.
I
you
can
know,
understand that.
They're the
If
two
it's,
consistencies. So, I mean, like in that back line,
Right.
Romagnoli knows he's got Donnarumma he could trust and vice versa. If one of them leaves, the others, and they don't know what's going
Right.
on, and they know no one else
And
is
if
trusted.
Donnarumma resigns, Romagnoli's like, oh, I'll stick around for
stick
another
around for a bit, yeah.
2 years and see what we have, because he's still young. He's going to be in his prime in 2 years,
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
You know.
It's definitely far more likely. I mean, obviously, they're both represented by Mino Raiola, which means they're essentially conjoined at the hip. But
Yeah.
I think if everything's agreed for Romagnoli's renewal, it definitely becomes a little bit more likely that Gigio stays.
Mhm.
Because, in my opinion, it then means there's a project there.
Yeah.
And there's
And
something
the
that
other
he
thing,
says he wants his client to buy into.
we have Teo Hernandez on a long-term deal. So that's 3 of them right there, that core that we know for sure will stay if those renewals go through. I mean, that's huge. When was the last time we had...
Gabia signed a new deal until 2024. So, like, if he really is the one that we want to push
If he's
through
the answer, then we're set. We just need a right back.
need a right back.
Why
and it does
wouldn't
say
we...
in the report that we want a new right back. So that's good news.
What about Thiago Silva to kind of
we seem to keep
help the
being linked
younger
with him.
players?
Yeah.
If he took
develop.
a pay cut, then yeah.
That'd be the only way.
Absolutely,
we can't afford to do it any other way.
Like half. He'd have to half his salary. But the thing is, it would be with him being on a free transfer, and I would probably only sign him on a 1-year deal with like an option.
But it's not that outlandish.
Like a 5 million, 6 million outlay.
I mean, you
he
say
never
he would
wanted to leave.
Exactly. And all you're saying he would take half his pay cut. Zlatan did take half his pay cut to come back to us. And Zlatan's got a much bigger ego than Thiago Silva, who admittedly has asked to come back and never wanted to leave. I mean, I'm sure Zlatan did the same thing, but
his only option apparently is to go back to Fluminense, which they're not going to be able to offer him what we can offer him. So,
did you guys read the article about the conversation that they had? We probably posted the article about when they transferred to PSG.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
You know,
we said, "Oh right, you're really going then, are you?" And then he's like, "Yeah, come with me," and then he did.
He's like, "If you actually didn't sign, I'm going to kick your ass." You know.
Yeah. Very good.
So,
it would be cool to see, because the way that I'm thinking about it is, right, let's I'll touch on this as well. Into the second report that Vito gave us, said that basically there's a couple of teams that are interested in Musacchio, who we currently value at like just under 10 million, which is understandable. You know, he's gone down quite a lot in valuation because of performances, etc. Let's say sell Musacchio for like 8 million. That could potentially pay for the fee to sign Kia permanently, and it could pay Thiago Silva's wages for a year. And that to me seems like a pretty good way to get rid of someone that we don't need.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Kier, Thiago Silva, and Gabia as the 3 very solid backups that could potentially be starters. So if those are the 3 vying for that partnership spot with Romagnoli, I'm more than happy with that. You know, that's solid. We may not have a direct partner that we could look at and every week know, like, this is our guy, but between the 3 of them, I feel pretty confident that we'd be fine.
Yeah, me too. And the new right back would be important then, but would feel in a lot safer hands. You know what I mean? Having a reliable right-sided centre-back, because that's what we've been lacking for so long. The other news was that Caldara and Suso are going to be leaving on a proper permanent basis, because both are basically set to qualify for the Champions League, and then the option would be taken. Combined 35 mil, that'll be 15 mil for Caldara. Feel a little bit dodgy about that, because feels like we made more of an investment than that on him, but I guess with the injuries and stuff, that's the way it goes. And then Suso, he's made it very clear in interviews that he sees his future with Sevilla. So fine by me, let's get the 20 mil that I didn't think we'd get anything close to, or let's get a decent backup winger, or let's pump it into a move for Depay or Castrovilli, something like that, to give ourselves a bit of quality out wide.
I'm so happy that Suso is going to be leaving. I've never liked him.
I don't want to disrespect him.
He always looked so lazy on the field.
How many times in that season under Gattuso did I bang on about how inconsistent Suso was? And I feel like a lot of the time people are like, "Oh, it won't be that harsh." And I was like, he's got 1 goal and 1 assist from Christmas till the end of the season.
Horrible.
Yeah.
He always did bad in the second half of the season. This season, he just did bad the entire season.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's been great at Sevilla, but probably good enough, I guess. I'm surprised about that.
Yeah.
I really.
It doesn't matter how good he is if they qualify for Champions League. So
right,
that's true.
Hopefully, their league doesn't resume.
So that was basically it. Anyway, that was all the stuff from Vito.
Donnarumma wants to resign. What about that?
Oh, that's the bit that I missed.
That's a big bit.
So,
we even segued into it after Romagnoli.
I know. I handed it to you.
Yeah, I'm shit at this. Let's face it. So Donnarumma, it says he said everything's silent, but essentially a renewal is not to be excluded because there's no concrete offers on the table, and because the player wants to stay. So that's the interesting part. Again, it's going to come down to how much can we use Donnarumma's will, basically, to try and get something over the line. Also, is there going to be a signal sent out by the fact that Romagnoli is getting a pay rise for what he's done? Or will Donnarumma just say, all right, look, if we're going to have a 5 mil ceiling, then I'll adhere to it. I'll hang around for a couple of seasons. If it's not happening, then I want you to sell me. Absolutely fine with that. That seems to me like the best solution. I really don't think, given the COVID-19 stuff and the economic ruins that it's going to leave football in, that teams are going to be able to pay the 50 mil we want for a goalkeeper. I think that money's going to be used on other players.
Yeah, I think that actually plays into our favor as far as keeping him goes. That they're not going to fork up that amount of money. I mean, you look at what Chelsea spent on Kepa. There's no way another club does that on a goalkeeper anytime soon.
No.
But it's also like, hey, we missed the second half, the last quarter of the season. We didn't make any money. Let's keep you where you're at. No other clubs made money. No one's going to be,
It doesn't sound like we're under pressure to sell him either, really.
No.
The contract situation is the only pressure we have. It doesn't sound like we need to raise money because Elliot, by all accounts,
when does when does Donnarumma's contract end? Is it 2022?
Next summer.
21. So I could see them taking Madison's example. Well, we didn't make any money because the season ended or it stopped prematurely. 1 year extension at the same wage, and then we could, at the same point next season, we can do an actual renewal. Try and just get that 1 year, just push it out a little bit further. That way, if we do sell him, it's not he's expiring in 6 months. We got to get rid of him on the cheap.
I think that sounds like a very good idea in theory. It's just not something Raiola would probably agree to.
But who knows? Who knows? I mean, this is unprecedented times. Raiola might be hurting right now too. He might just do whatever he can to get across the line.
He also is going to do what his client wants to do. If his client wants us to stay at the club, his client's going to stay at the club.
And the older Donnarumma gets, the bigger his voice against his agents is. When he was a teenager.
Apparently, he's already got a pretty big voice as it is.
Right.
Yeah, the dude's also like 8 feet tall, and Raiola's like 5 feet and 300 pounds.
Yeah, they look like the number 10 when they stand next to each other. Ridiculous. Donnarumma, he's 6'7". 6'7".
Yeah, he's
6'7".
Yeah, he's huge.
He's a giant. Did you see the picture of me standing next to him? My short ass next to this guy? Oh my God. Yeah, if I could
I
find
forgot that you met him. That's dope.
Yeah, I met all of them.
Well, he's not. He's 6'5". But
that's
still,
a lie.
That's
He's
tall.
6'7".
Oh, 6'5", 6'7", 2 inches.
Yeah, how dare you, Ollie? It's not even that big of a difference.
I was just going to say, how much taller is he than me?
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I guess I'd at least be able to sort of put my arm around his shoulder. It might be up here, but yeah.
When did I meet him? Was that 2016 or 2017? I don't remember. 17.
17, yeah.
Probably.
Because that was the year that I got more involved, I think. Or was it 2018?
It wasn't 18.
Merges into one, mate, to be honest.
Or maybe it was. Shoot. I don't know, boys. I don't know. Sorry.
I'm going to move on from the Vito stuff.
Yeah.
Go and read it if you haven't read it already. Some really good stuff in there, as always. So one report that I want to talk through basically lists 8 targets that Ranić apparently has. Just go through them. I don't know how many of these you'll know because I don't really know any of them, but just a quick yes or no. Tonali?
Yes. Big yes.
Take him. Yeah, perfect partner for Benacer. Samuel Ricci is someone that we've been linked with a lot, and I've just not seen him.
Yeah, that's I've heard positive and negative things about him, so I don't know. I mean, Twitter only lives in hyperbole, so it's either he's the absolute worst or the greatest thing ever. So I really don't know what to understand, but
it's funny that you say that because I watched a few of his videos, and then I tweeted something out yesterday saying just watched a few of his videos. Really can't say that I'm impressed, like that impressed. I'm not saying, he's rubbish or he's great, but I just what I see is someone who's really raw. Yeah, strikes me as something that'd been another Jose Mauri signing. Well, what are we going to do with this kid kind of thing? Because he'd be stuck behind Benacer and someone else in the pecking order. I don't know. Playing in Serie B this season, I know with Benacer and stuff, we shouldn't really turn our nose up at that. But seems like the money could maybe be better used in other areas on more established players. But don't know. It'd probably come down to the head coach. Someone that I do really like, but I don't know about how quickly they'd adapt. Teun Koopmeiners, who's playing at AZ Alkmaar at the moment. He's their club captain. He's only 22. He's also... Oh, wait. Is he 20?
I found the picture. Sorry to interrupt, but if you're watching on YouTube, there's a picture of me and Donnarumma. I'm about 5'10", so there's a big gap there.
And if you're listening on Spotify, just imagine David and Goliath stood next to each other.
Yeah, exactly. I could take him, though. He's a kid.
Just imagine Danny DeVito next to...
to The Rock.
Yeah, so Koopmeiners I maybe take. Florentino Luis, like, it keeps coming up, so I really do think that we like this lad. A lot of people hype him up on Twitter.
I'd rather Tonali than Florentino.
Yeah, me too. But if there was the opportunity, perhaps, to swap Paqueta for Florentino and get a bit more depth in that position, and then
I would do both.
So here's my thing.
Swap.
If the option's one or the other between Tonali and Florentino, the way I look at it is we already have a shit ton of foreign players, and I know that you need to have a certain amount of Italians in the squad. Plus, there's well, I guess,
and there's a max on foreign players. Yeah.
So it makes sense to go for Tonali, an Italian. Plus, he's in the league already. He's already got league experience. He knows the league. And I'm pretty sure when we were going for Florentino, he was like 50 million release clause or whatever. Granted, they'd probably go lower. They always do. But if Tonali's available at 30, I mean, that's a no-brainer. You know, like anyone that comes out of the Portuguese league is super hyped, and then it's either they're a massive flop or they're not. And it's just risk and reward. Whereas Tonali, we know what we're going to get. We know it's good. Plus, he's a Milan fan. There's more positives to Tonali, I think.
I like the idea, right? I've just thought about it in my head. I might write something about this. I like the idea of renewing Donnarumma, renewing Romagnoli, sell Musacchio, use the money to get Thiago Silva for a year and to get Kjaer on a permanent basis. Then send Paqueta to Fiorentina for Castrovilli in return. That fixes our attacking midfield problem. And then sell maybe Kessié or Çalhanoğlu to raise the money for Tonali and send Plazzari as part of the deal. There you go.
Don't send Plazzari, but definitely sell Kessié over Çalhanoğlu.
Yeah, because Kessié's playing time would be done at that point anyway. That's fair.
And Çalhanoğlu contributes way more to the team, whether or not Milan Twitter wants to admit it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's fair.
I'll reel through the last 4 names on this, and then we'll get to the questions. You won't know them, so I'll just talk about them. I'm excited to write about them. Nasser Mazraoui from Ajax, right back. He's not been playing much because of Serginho Dest. So
I was going to say
let's sign him up.
Signing it.
I'd sign Dest.
Yeah, I would like Serginho Dest, just because another player called Serginho would be absolutely excellent.
Also, the American market,
which is huge, of course. Him or Denzel Dumfries. I really like Denzel Dumfries. I saw Diego Dalot linked earlier. I actually kind of like him. I think he's been good for United. There are options at right back. Aurier probably being a bit down the list for me now. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Dominic Szoboszlai. I think I've done all right with that one. Red Bull Salzburg. Is that how you say it?
No, I was making a joke. That's Szybatsky's a character from How I Met Your Mother, Robin Szybatsky.
Oh,
so that's just the closest name I thought of.
Sorry for being uncultured.
Yeah, I just watch a lot of sitcoms in quarantine. It's okay.
So versatile like Salzburg midfielder. Could play wing, could play attacking midfield. I really like him. Someone came out, it was the Hungarian national team coach came out and said that he's basically going to move to Lazio, Milan or Inter. And he reckons that he'd do well at any of them. If Ranić has a say because he plays for Salzburg, I'd say let's get him in. You know,
yeah, makes sense.
A bit of depth across all of those 3 positions.
Was that a Ranić signing at Salzburg?
Yeah.
Yeah, then go for it.
Wait, who was that?
Dominic Szoboszlai, the Hungarian guy that we were on about earlier.
Right, we lost Madison again, so
yeah, off he goes.
He's out. All right.
Oh, he's back? No.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, just keep talking.
Damn it. Am I?
Yes, you are. Gianluca Scamaccia.
I'm not against him. I mean, he's
What the fuck?
Madison. We can hear you.
Maddie.
Can you?
Yes.
Oh, that's the best. At least we've got a blooper reel sorted.
Yeah, that's funny.
Just this episode alone, I'll do it. I would only have Scamaccia if we knew that he was going to be a backup. Like, I don't worry about Leao. Like, where do we see Leao in the future? Do we see him as a centre forward? Because is bringing in another young, 20-year-old centre forward the way to go? I don't know. Again, money that might be used in better areas.
I think we could see Leao go in the Andre Silva path, coming in super hyped, kind of big money, and then just being swapped out for another big hype player for kind of big money and like Timo Werner or something. But at least Timo we know is consistent. But I
will throw out a couple of names
with
regards to the Scamaccia discussion as well. First one, Daniel Maldini doesn't really count, so maybe not him. But Luan Capani, who's having an amazing season for the Primavera, would it be worth getting him involved in the senior squad instead of spending 15 million on a striker who's played in Serie B this season? And Colombo as well. Colombo, who's been banging him in for the Primavera. Those are players who would probably be like, hang on a minute.
I know people really liked Lapadula, but he did way better in Serie B and didn't do too hot for us. Granted, the team that Lapadula played with versus the team that we're constructing now with Ranić is totally different, but I agree with you, Ollie. I don't think there's a reason to spend 15 million on a player from Serie B who's had an okay season. You know, I mean, obviously there are a lot of games that could have been played still, but it wasn't like he was making headlines every single day. So I don't think it's necessary, especially given the other targets. I think the other targets are far more important. And to be honest, our attacking department's probably the most concrete that we have between Zlatan, Rebic, and Leao. If all three stay, then they're like, what are we doing? You know, we don't need that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Interested to see what happens with Rebic as well, but that's probably one for another time. Whether we keep playing him out on the left, whether we move him more central, whether we play him as a striker. I think watch this space on that one. Anyway, do a couple of questions and then wrap it up. A quick one from Bjorn Krog, who says, what do you consider the most realistic outcome of the season? I guess he means in terms of resumption of play. I think we get underway again, probably not until June, maybe the back end of June. Everything's played behind closed doors and they avoid the areas that are still red risk. And they play games, maybe 2 games a week to try and get the season finished. And yeah, we'll find out if we get into the Europa League.
Yeah, that's basically exactly what I think, but I think it's going to happen the end of May, honestly. I'm thinking May 21st. Throw that date
the
out
most
there.
optimistic estimate that I've seen recently is that season starts again the last week of May with the Coppa Italia semi-final second legs.
I think I saw that too, actually.
Yeah,
I
think that's...
I do not want our first game back to be Juventus away.
I wouldn't mind it. Because
I guess it doesn't matter. We know we're kind of out. But yeah,
I don't know. I think it would work in our favour because there'd be so many things up in the air, and that's the only way we can win. If that game plays true to form with every player sort of in their rhythm and stuff, then we're done for.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing to add on that one. That's Sam. No, Aziz Octavio One asks, "What's your favourite Milan chant?" I quite like this one. I don't think we've said it before.
Well, shout out to you for getting his name right. I think that's the first time in the last 4 weeks you've said it. Said it pretty well.
Maddie, me and you are doing this one next week on our own. I'm not having.
I've been booted. I don't really have a favorite chant, to be honest. I know that's the shitty thing to say, but
you are such.
I really can't hear them on TV to know, and I've never been to a game, so.
Yeah, fair. For me, it's definitely.
I like that those who don't jump are interisti. That one's funny. It's like, haha.
Yeah, Keenan's. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not going to try and say it in Italian, but yeah, Keenan Salt and Nerazzurra, really good. I like the one that they play at the start of big games, which is actually a rendition of a famous Italian pop song. It's basically called Che Confusione, and they just shout out all the lyrics but change the end to "I Keenan Salta, un gobo Juventino," and then everyone starts bouncing. That's a really good one. And I also like the one that came out sort of in the last 3 years. that I remember bouncing on the chairs at Arsenal away. Just basically, there's a whole load of words that I won't read out, but then everyone going, "Oh, I see Milan." Oh,
Yeah, actually, I really like that one too. It just flows
one,
nice. It's easy.
Yeah, it's really good. So probably one of them. And then that is it. That's basically it. All right, no, one more. Again, Nuraziz asks about the proposal for 5 subs between now and the end of the season to help teams with the fitness and stuff. Does it benefit us or hinder us? I'd say it hinders us because we don't have great depth. But
I was going to say we don't have great depth.
Yeah.
So
Is that a thing going around? I haven't read that, but I haven't kept up.
yeah, it's one.
I think it's a good idea, to be honest. Objectively, it does make sense, but us as a team, it's bad news.
No,
We're gonna sub off our 3 best players for whatever reason. That seems to be what we always do.
Way of doing it,
Yeah, and then after that, it's like, well, what do we change now? And then you're gonna see a Conte for Calabria swap as the 4th sub, and then like
Respect,
I don't know,
Pioli.
Donnarumma coming off 5th for no good reason.
For Salamakers. Get him in. Salad maker. God bless that man. He's come over for like a 6-month holiday. Fair play to him. Yeah, that's everything.
he was so excited. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
For him.
I do and I don't.
I guess I don't care.
He's getting paid like.
I've been worried about other important stuff. I forgot about him, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about it, I mean, like in the media, he was like, "I've dreamed of playing for AC Milan." Blah blah.
Made that up, in my opinion.
Yeah, me too.
Right,
and imagine if you got a 6-month loan, and then they were like, "We don't want you
A
anymore."
6-month loan, you play 4, not even 4 games. You got like 1 game.
3 games.
Yeah,
3 games,
30
and then the season stops. Yeah, that's a bummer. Cool. Well, I've been your host.
Yeah, have you? I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher or at Kilpin Chronicle for some more progressively more explicit Milan-based rants. Been joined by Anthony Tolgrud.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Glad to be. I was here last week, so glad to stay consistent. Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Twitter45.
Maddie?
Yeah. It was good to be in and out of this podcast. So you guys can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Madison_DT.
Yes, thank you very much for watching, everybody, and we will catch you in a week's time.
Tira Alessio, Suso, tira, perché non tiriamo? Ma perché non tiriamo? Gol! Alessio Romagnoli, gol! Alessio Romagnoli!